Hello, this is Nathan, better known as CrazyhermitDM, and this is my podcast, The Hermit's Homebrew. Joining me today is Brent from Langeministudio on Instagram as we talk about Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop gaming. Critical Role really kind of like took off before COVID, I think.
Yeah, that was Critical. Yeah, first season of Critical Role was pre-COVID. Yeah,
Started on March 12th of 2015, so that was 5 years before.
that's okay.
They
I was kind
were
of thinking it was in the second campaign.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was that was actually the one I really heavily got invested into, was the second campaign.
Okay.
I just thought it was a little darker, obviously, because you know how I am. I'm a Quentin Tarantino, Tim Burton, and fan through and through, and then with Kevin Smith's humor.
That's actually a good way to describe it. Yeah. Okay. Never heard it quite put that way.
Yeah. When people ask, I'm a giant movie nerd, so if that's the best way I can describe it. But
you can write yourself into a vampire scene with drinking champagne off her leg.
Well, I definitely could. We could have done that this campaign with Walden.
Oh no! I'm seeing with what happened with Toy Bar and Walden now. Oh god, it's just so funny that he writes that scene and then casts himself to play the guy doing it. It's like, Tarantino, you're the man.
Props off to you.
Exactly.
Because I did ask over our Instagram, people asking, I asked them to kind of chime in. It's like, hey, give us a couple of questions this week or whatever it is, so we're just not talking about the game session, but our game night got canceled. So we're just taking questions and talking about, gaming in general tonight, which, it's a good change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
So I had one person ask, is there a homebrew rule that you've heard or don't like? Or vice versa, is there a homebrew rule that you like? And then I added my own one step further question to that. For me, the rules is written rule, and I've added it to mine just because I'm a little bit higher, more magic. You're technically only allowed to, if you cast a spell or whatever above second level, you're with your bonus action only allowed to cast a cantrip.
Cantrip, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or as you get higher, it's only like supposed to be above second level or something like that. If I remember right.
It's got to be like as a bonus action. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I changed that. It's like you cast whatever level you want. I don't care. Yeah. Critical Role actually taught me that in that second campaign. Funny enough, and I'm just like, why does he keep correcting them? What rule is he talking about? Because I've never stuck to that. Mm-hmm. And then I actually rule dived on it. I'm just like, oh,
well, yeah. It's because the D&D combat is very based on action economy.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a level 10 character. If he's going up against 100 peasants, those peasants are probably going to kill him. So
the group that I was with at the time, that a couple of them, brought up a very good point or whatever. It's like, when you get up to those higher levels with the bonus action on that, if I'm not enforcing this restriction, be advised that spellcasters are going to be even more powerful than anything melee that you're going to cast.
Oh god, yeah. Especially you get the high level spells, they get crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's all we need is that. I'm kind of I'm saddened and I'm glad that Toy Bar is kind of being more chaotic with his spell casting, because
literally it's up to the dice
with twin spell chain lightning, that spell's nuts.
Yeah. If somehow he was to, like, I'm sure there's feats or items that you can get Eldritch Blast.
Oh yeah.
Twin spell that, and then at like Rama's level, because she now I think gets 3 darts.
She gets 3, and
so now you're doing 6.
Yeah, now you're doing 6. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, Gatling guns don't exist, but that's pretty dang close.
I do like that in Baldur's Gate because I'm playing a Dark Elf Warlock of the Great Old One, and I do like that they make you, like, when you're casting Eldritch Blast, you have to retap the monster the number of times your Eldritch Blast goes through,
and then go 1, 2,
and then
3.
It rolls each time for you and all that. But
so you can actually go, I want to tap. You can tap that one, tap a different one, then a different one,
mm-hmm.
and
or you can just focus fire, just 3 different attacks. But it is 3 separate every time.
So I'm probably one of the D&D players that has not played Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll get you there.
Played Dark Alliance back in the day.
But like, is there any sort of like, I did a rules written, I guess I vice versa that. I guess homebrew rules wise, there's not too many. There's one I've like, there's a level like up to 3 or level 1 to 3. I can't remember his name on YouTube or whatever. He like did a couple of good videos where he went through basically his list of homebrew rules that he's used and that he does use. The one that I did use and started implementing this campaign, and I really, really do like it. And I'm sorry I'm getting off a side tangent off the question. I just can't think of one I don't like off the top of my head. Is I've gotten rid of basically the common language. And
yeah, that's true. Yeah, there is no universal language in your world. Yeah.
And if, what was it, the higher your intelligence modifier is, let's say you have a +2 intelligence modifier, you get 2 additional languages.
Yeah, I like that. It brings more of the world is bigger than just, okay, cool, everyone speaks common. Well, okay, I mean, I understand why they did that, but well, I'm sorry, not everyone speaks English.
And then, well, yeah, it adds a little bit more realistic thing to a very fantastical world. I mean, you and me literally ran into this problem walking into this studio today. Yeah, we are recording at a local college, and they had a couple of an Hispanic couple come in that's coming in to learn English, and their English is very poor, and they had to show us the text of like, hey, do you know where this is? We're lost. And then it's like
Google Translate or something to be like, hey, they asked us a question in, they typed it out in Spanish and then showed us in English. We couldn't help because we didn't know what they were talking about.
We don't know, this area good enough, but that's a perfect example of what I'm trying to achieve with our D&D world is just that sometimes, you have those situations like you don't know the language is being spoken in front of you, and it adds a level of awkwardness of like, I've done that a couple times with NPCs, and you've noticed it. Like I say they have these big old long drawn out things and conversations, and then somebody like, it's almost like a Han Solo moment. Oh, what'd he say? Oh, he just said this.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. That was a 2-minute conversation. He didn't just say, okay.
Just one sentence. Yeah. Oh, what? Yeah, exactly. He said this. Bullshit. And what's funny is that, like, because that's again player knowledge versus character knowledge. Like me as a player, I know exactly what was said because you guys spoke it in front of me in English. But in game, my character doesn't speak that language, so I have no clue what.
Sometimes, and that adds another level of complexity of like, like we're all veteran enough to like. I admit, when I first started playing, I was a very bad meta gamer. It was very hard not to. It comes with, and I suffer from it every so often or whatever. I correct myself, and I have to admit, our groups, like the couple of times that they've metagamed, they've corrected themselves. Well, and the girl was, well, I guess I wouldn't know it from that point of view. Never mind.
Yeah, I like that. You're right. We have caught ourselves to where we'll like in the middle of a sentence, we kind of stop and go, wait, never mind. My character doesn't know that. I do though. Never mind. Continue on. And that's really cool. Like a couple of the other groups I've played with, nope, we're gonna steamroll straight ahead. There's no way your character would know that. Too bad. I know it, so we're gonna keep going. Like, but. All right, fine. So yeah, one of the things that I did want to ask you about, especially with homebrew rules, your homebrewed resurrection spells.
Yeah.
Why did you feel I like implementing? I like it. I think it's really cool.
That the skill challenge.
Yeah, the skill challenge idea. So, and then ultimately at the end, rolling a 10, a 10 or whatever to see if your soul even comes back. What led you to?
That came off the campaign in between Cade and Merrick, or well, one of the 2 campaigns between Cade and Merrick.
Yeah,
it came off that second campaign that I've told you very infamous about multiple times.
You've had many discussions, yes.
There's a power gamer and a min-maxer in that campaign, and after that campaign, I implemented a lot of rules, because I wanted to add more grit to the thing, and those 2 particular players, it felt very much of they wanted to play rules as written when it was in their favor.
So, yeah, gotcha. Okay.
But then when it wasn't in their favor, let's just do
it. Yeah.
All right. One of the players was like
being a rules lawyer.
Like the session 0 or whatever of that second campaign after Cade. One of the players that you know more closely, he had come to me and said, I want a more raw game, like a more rules as written thing. And then at the same time, I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then he started
that, but
he goes and he's like, would you be able to more implement like the very traditional 5-room dungeons? I'm like, yeah, that actually I don't mind that because that will buff me up.
Okay. Okay.
or just like more dungeon delving or more dungeon crawling,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
you know the type of player he was.
Yep. Yep.
That was his jam. In the same breath, halfway through that session one, he gives me a homebrew subclass to the class that he's handing after he asked, I just want to play rules as written. And I'm just like, I didn't realize it fully till like after. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
You just
wait a
asked
minute.
you just asked this for other people to follow and then handed me this.
And hand you a completely from the internet handwritten. Yeah. Like,
So
no, come on, man.
if people really dive deep on the internet, there
Mhm.
is a certain website that I will not name that has a very long drawn out story of what that entire situation was. Go ahead and dive deep if you want.
And good hunting out there, because if it's the one I'm thinking of,
It's the one I've showed you.
oh yeah, let's say yeah, it's the one you showed me. Okay, yeah, it's especially for me, knowing the players involved, knowing Nate, knowing everything, it is kind of gut wrenching for me, because I can hear their voices, I can see their faces, because I
And
did a
you haven't
campaign
even
with
met
these
one
guys.
of them.
Yeah, I haven't even met one of them. Yeah, but the ones that are there, it's just like, oh, come on. And then I put myself in there, and it's just wow. So yeah, for putting up with it so long, for as long as you did,
Year and a half campaign
yeah,
for
that's off to you for putting up with that.
29 sessions. So yeah, it was like situations like that where it just like I wanted to add more grit, and then we got to the second campaign, or it would be the third campaign, or whatever, and I came up with my own version of the lingering injuries, which
Which is really cool. I like that too. Yeah.
and which I've been updating actually, and I'll be implementing a third version of it here now. Uh, it's not as dead. It's not deadly. Yeah, it's not deadlier or whatever. It's not
Okay.
less. It's just a little bit more tweaking.
Oh, okay.
But I had like the lingering injuries, or what was the homebrew rule you just brought up? Because we went on a side tangent.
The alternate resurrection.
The alternate resurrection. So
Spell check, and then the soul could even still not come back.
okay, so I will tell one horror story from that campaign that is not on that treasure hunt.
Okay.
So, and this is part of the reason why, is because of like, if they want to be, if my players at my table, and this applies even to if you want to be stupid enough and get
Yeah.
yourself killed, I'm just going to be blunt with this.
Hey.
More power to you. But there's a chance now, if you kill yourself, you're not coming back, because I use the critical rule or critical role option rules of if you die, it sets up for a skill challenge. And it's a possibility that could be worse or less depending on how nice your party is or how helpful. It's like stories like these. So they were traveling across country basically to the version of the Tomb of Horrors in our world.
Okay.
And they come across basically, I did a story that was basically very close to the Headless Horseman. Basically, this Headless Horseman type. Oh, no, never mind. They were not going towards Tomb of Horrors. They were going on a dragon hunt for a white dragon.
Oh, okay.
Along the way, they come across this Headless Horseman thing of this kind of headless, like not Death Knight, but something close to it. It is like terrorizing.
Or something from Celtic mythology?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Just the Headless Horseman from Sleepy Hollow, basically, is terrorizing this village and like the farmers along it and all that. And they go and find out on this deep dive. It's a lot to do with like tainted druid magic and all this sort of stuff that he's slighted against him and all this.
Okay.
And then there's these other people that are controlling the Headless Horseman because they've figured out how to manipulate that druid magic to control the Headless Horseman.
Jeez.
Which is very close to the plot of the late 90s Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, exactly.
But along the way, they come across this like old kind of Celtic, I think, it's not Cairn, but it's in those big stone domes or whatever that used to be kind of altars back in the day for the Celts.
Oh yeah, because the Cairn's the stacked stones.
But this is like basically a big stone dome that's dug in probably about 6 steps.
Oh yeah, it's bugging me.
But
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know the word to it. But so they go 6 steps down, and so it's like the 12 most neutral gods in our.
Okay.
They have one of the people that are manipulating the Headless Horseman are in there, and it was supposed to set up of like, oh hey, this dude's suspicious. We need to keep an eye out for him as we go to the town.
He's sus.
This dude is a necromancer who has a staff that's all made out of bones and wired like copper wires and different type of wires, whatever, holding this big like spine staff with a thing on the top of it. we had a necromancer in the group at the time. It was supposed to go to her.
Yep. Dibs.
Our half-elf bard at the time decides that he is going to try and pickpocket it off the necromancer.
It's always the bards.
And then, so this necromancer is very religious, so he's lighting the candles to each of these shrines because he is a necromancer, but he is in charge of keeping this tomb or this shrine.
Doing it quote unquote properly.
Yeah. He sets his staff against up the wall and starts lighting the candles, and this bard comes in, tries to pickpocket it, fails.
Okay.
This guy's probably about 15 feet away, and he turns and he looks, he goes, "Put it back now.
Yeah.
This is a sacred place. I'm not going to attack you."
Okay. I like that wording. I'm not going to attack you. Yeah. Okay.
There's no like real amount of bones or whatever like that in this like kind of shrine, and so he still continues to try and steal the staff and does it. And then that's when the two players we were just talking about come charging in. They attack the necromancer, end up blowing up half the shrine, doing a Kool-Aid man through the back of the shrine, and then run off with the staff, halfway killing the necromancer, if not killing the necromancer. I can't remember what happened to them, but destroying half the shrine with the spells that they cast and blowing about. And after that session and all that, and they came close to getting killed in the process of doing this, and they, with their very optimized characters, got away with speed. So after that session, I sat there and like, I have no idea how to retaliate against this stupidity. You've destroyed a shrine that contains 12 different gods.
Oh, they're not so neutral anymore.
Yeah. And then those players took it personally when I went and searching. And then I also consulted because I was doing live chats, because every Monday at the time, the YouTube channel Nerdarchy was doing their live chats, and I joined in and like, hey, so-and-so happened, offended these deities and all that. I gave a very generalized thing. What do you think they'd send at him? They turned me to the first edition, the Hound of Ill Omen.
Oh, okay, cool. Where the ability came from 5th edition.
Yeah. This was actually in 1st edition a thing that if you pissed off a deity good enough, they sent a hound, and ours it was a giant wolf, just because we're Nordic, and basically it howls and then you fall under a curse.
Nice.
Any hit that hits you is triple damage.
Oh,
I made the mistake when this happened. I rolled the dice. I go, okay, 9.
Oh.
The other 2 succeeded the very high check with their optimized characters because it was a con check and they had a barbarian and a fighter.
Oh, okay, man.
It was the bard, ironically, that failed.
That makes sense.
And the next 9 hits. Through the next couple of combats, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how they did it, but they basically, with spells and being able to buff, basically goat a monster to attack the bard, and then they'd like shield or stuff like this. That way the attack to that, and then kept tallies of like how many hits the bard attacked. That way they knew when the curse dropped.
Oh, dang. Oh my God.
I have one player that played in that lives halfway across the world now, but if you asked her, this sort of stuff happened every other session. Oh, she'd say every session, but it happened every other or every third session of this just like ridiculousness. And that's when I started coming up. It's like, I'm making this grittier. I'm making this a little tougher. If you want to go throwing yourselves into a giant herd of giants or whatever like that, and then they start critting you, you're now getting lingering injuries and all this sort of stuff. I had to toughen down as a DM. And unfortunately, the people that followed in the previous campaign suffer. But I mean, at the same time, it makes you play smarter.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where with my character, I've had so many lingering injuries. I've gone to 0 hit points so many times, and that's pretty. And I chalk that up to me. This is the first tank I've ever played in D&D, and I'm like I said, I've been playing for the better part of 2 decades. This is the first tank I've ever played. I don't, even when I'm playing online, say Final Fantasy or whatever, I don't tank. That's just not my play style. But it's your rules have driven my choices to where one of the closest things that we got to a magic item, I was like, adamant armor, just so I'm immune to critical hits now. So holy cow. And that's what the next one to where I got one of those boons to where it's like, oh hey, your hit points increase. Yeah, I'm taking that.
Oh yeah, the boon of epic fortitude. It raises your max HP by 40.
Yeah, I'm taking that.
because you help Surtur.
Yeah. So I'm like, I am now like switching my character to like survival mode.
Mhm.
Because yeah, this is a lot more gritty and a lot more hard hitting than other sessions, other campaigns, other settings, all of that. So yeah, this is absolutely. I'm enjoying. This is
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely one of those ones to where I'm thinking more about my character isn't heroic.
Yeah.
He's still mortal.
Yeah.
He may be super powerful compared to what he used to be, but like
He
Qui-Gon
can still
said,
take his licks.
like Qui-Gon said, there's always a bigger fish. So,
Uh,
and I say you've done a really good job with that.
And I think, what was it? I don't know if Tove was doing it for that exact reason. I know Chase brought it up. I don't know if he brought it up on mic or off mic the last time we did a studio session. But like that last boss battle, she did not engage in combat whatsoever.
Yeah, he did bring that up on mic. Yeah.
And I have not had a chance to like talk to her like one on one. And just like, so what's the reasoning behind that? Is that because you don't want to get that stack of lingering injuries, or
No, and the thing is, the reason why she does that is has nothing to do with tactic
yeah,
or anything like that. She legitimately thought that's what her character would do.
yeah,
She was like, what's our primary goal here? Our primary goal is to save Silvera.
Yeah.
Silvera's in that thing and it's sucking her magic out. I need to stop that from happening. That was the logic. That was it. It had nothing to do with mechanics
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah, and it's just it's just such a different point of view that yeah,
it is. Yeah,
compared to what I'm used to like dealing with or whatever. Just like this person of a player that usually just delves right into combat, just like no,
yeah.
I avoid it. I have
like active like nope. You guys take care of that. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do this.
Or if I'm not, I'm climbing. If we're in the cathedral in the middle of Muspelheim, I'm climbing up on the tall statue like the cat I am, and
and
avoiding being hit.
Yeah, exactly. And she's not trying to be toxic about it. But
no, she's not.
What my character would do.
And I don't think anyone's mad or feeling that it is toxic.
Because yeah, she's not doing it to be that way.
No,
she's doing it just because she's role playing.
Now, if she were to do it like, oh God, we're all dying, we're at 10 HP and all this other stuff. Oh, I'm running away. That's what my character would do.
Like,
bye.
Yeah, like what? I mean, it's a totally valid thing to do, but okay.
You haven't cast a spell this session and you have cure wounds.
Yeah.
Help us.
Yeah.
No, my character wouldn't do that.
No, like what? Yeah, exactly.
That reminds me of a story like when I very, very first started playing.
Okay.
One of I won't name names. One of the players, he was having a very bad night as is because he lost his bank card.
Oh no.
And he's already a very, how do I word this, passionate and hyper competitive. And he was playing a human cleric. He didn't heal anyone that combat because he wanted to take out his bad day and let the group just suffer because he was.
Nothing helps a bad mood like spreading it. Yeah.
I think I don't know if we even have an hour worth of talking to do, but we can sit here and meander.
We got this.
Or the resurrection rule of like, you can lose your player permanently. Because that was like, you and me both played 4th edition. You just came back.
Oh yeah.
It was very, in that aspect of like 4th edition, there's lots of like ups and downs to it, but it felt very video gamey with
if your character died, it was a minor inconvenience.
And I think that actually says it in that optional rule thing of like, and a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, dying is a minor inconvenience. This is to help combat that.
Yeah. And I've been lucky to where any of the homebrew rules that I've put in have been to increase enjoyment. I've never had the situation of my players actively rebelling almost.
And I think with the lingering injuries rules in that following campaign, fortunately you weren't a part, like no one actually was really a part of it. I had my brother and my sister and my ex at the time. They all went into this, like, it's when I really implemented it like heavily or whatever, and just like really like the version you see now.
Yeah.
I haven't updated it since in like 5-6 years.
Oh, okay.
They went into this underwater tower or whatever to where they had to stop basically this kind of like merfolk wizard from doing his shenanigans or whatever to this local like Fey village.
Okay.
Underwater rules on top of everything else are kind of funky. Like everything in it, like slashing and bludgeoning is piercing damage is the only thing that's full damage.
Okay.
By the end of their like dungeon crawl down about 4 flights of this underwater wizard tower, they're going to get a winter orb that had frozen over everything in the area. It was like spring or the equivalent of June.
Okay, cool. All right.
Anyways, I just remembered that.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, our trickster cleric, who was also very beefy and she was very strong, walked out with an internal injury, a broken rib, a limp, and a maimed hand.
Oh wow.
And that's how I described it at the end of the session. Is like, you guys come out of this, like the bard and the rogue assassin had all had like 2 or 3 lingering injuries as well. It was a very brutal thing.
Yeah.
Because like the trickster cleric had actively and the bard had not chosen for whatever reason at the time, had not chosen cure wounds
Okay.
in their spells. And so they had no healing spells. They basically were going off healing potions.
Oh god. Okay.
So every lingering injury stuck. And yeah, and my lingering injuries, it says on certain this takes a 3rd level or higher to solve.
Like my character for like the longest time, like Merrick, he had a maimed eye for the longest time because we were trying to get to where we do a long rest to where we could have our celestial warlock recover spells to be able to do that.
Mhm.
And so yeah, he's walking around like, hey, I'm looking like Odin here, and I'm okay.
Yeah, Rocky with the cauliflower eye.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of that session, they all had a literal handful of like lingering injuries, and I said, you guys are just limping back to this village with this orb in a sack because you can't touch it because it like feels like you're touching dry ice as you touch it.
Oh, okay.
And that was me as a dungeon master. I'm sure they weren't liking it whatsoever, but me as a dungeon master, that was the feeling I was trying to achieve, of like this grit.
Yep.
Of like, you guys weren't actually in any danger of dying. You guys played this all really well. You guys went strategically went through
That's
that.
good.
But you still got screwed up.
Yeah, you got brought to that ragged edge to where you weren't in any danger of dying, but you did not feel like it. You did not feel safe.
And you and me have talked about it in previous podcast episodes of like Call of Cthulhu, combat's supposed to be avoided at all costs.
It's supposed to be like you weren't.
And it's like
that almost.
And with those type of rules, I feel it adds a certain thing of like, combat should not always be run into it.
Mm-hmm.
It should be like, let's give it a second thought of like, this is an option.
It's a tactical choice on whether or not to even engage in combat. Or what benefit is it to us to risk our lives
exactly
against that thing? Yeah.
So like, changing gears or whatever, we had one other question come up of like, from a very brilliant person asking, how do you create or design big bad evil guys for your campaign? Like, how do you like go about that? For sure, I have my own ways, but
for me, I'm actually doing it twice right now because I have the Fallout campaign that we're getting ready to restart, and then I'm also planning a campaign after you wrap up our Muspelheim campaign. Whenever I'm designing the final boss, the emperor or the overarching whatever, I always start at the end. How do I want this final scene to go down? How do I get you guys to fight some of this crazy stuff that normally no one ever gets to fight in D&D? And also it's I don't know, as I start at the end, also start at the beginning.
Yep.
What
got them to that point?
What got you there? Why are you here in the first place? What's the setting? Does your big bad evil guy make sense for the setting you're creating? And find out what that is. What's Guy from How to Be a Great GM gave me a really good idea on one of his episodes. Whenever you're creating a campaign, always ask say there's a sentence you got to do. Someone is trying to do something before something else happens, but is having problems doing it because of this. Fill in the blanks. Yeah. So that's been a really good thing where I'm going to try to keep that in the back of my head. And that's how I design my campaign. Okay, what's the point of us, of the players getting here? Why are they here and why do they want to do this? Find out what your big bad what their goal is. Yeah. What the players are trying to stop, because the big bad guy is having problems doing this because of the players. That's why he even cares that these guys are running around. So find out why your characters are there, how you want that to end, and then maybe a couple of thematic points of like what form you want them to take or whatever. But then honestly, stop that, and that's all you got to have, because this is going to be the end of the campaign. You've got, if you're lucky, if you're lucky to get to the end of the campaign, if you're lucky, it's 2 years of real life playtime, of every, maybe twice a month or whatever. You've got so much time to get there. You want that big bad evil guy to evolve.
Hey tabletop gamers, thank you for watching this episode of the Hermit's Homebrew. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends as we continue to level up and grow.